Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Unnamed Cybersecurity Show. And hey, that's what I like.
We got to fix that.
We do. We might, but I like to go that way, guys. So, that's me, the New Yorker, Carl. We got Bob out of Jersey. We got Chris out of Michigan, and then we got Matt out of PA, and he's not missing. We found him. He's been stable for the last 2 weeks, so that's a first here on the podcast. And speaking of first, we got a lot of stuff going on today, and I think Chris, you had a couple things you wanted to bring up today.
Oh, you mean there's nothing going on?
Nothing going.
I mean, if you want to
same
buy a
old,
car,
same old.
Yeah, I mean, buying a car right now is fine. Only half the dealers are affected still. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the breaking news that Bloomberg posted like Friday?
Yeah, let's do breaking news.
So, by the time you guys hear this, will be a couple days old from Bloomberg, but they posted that CDK technology we talked about last week was going to pay the ransom. They did admit it was a ransom event, and the ransom was tens of millions of dollars.
That we use it's a
lot of data.
It's a lot of data.
Boy, just the personal data that seems to be exposed in this, and the reason the ransom was so high was because of that. One, they needed to get the decryption key to try to recover their information, and two, it was so that the data that they stole wasn't going to get leaked. So this tells us that pretty much everything you thought that they stole, they probably did. So social security numbers, all the
I want to run some barroom math with you guys as far as how bad this can be, because I used to work at a car dealership.
Uh-oh.
So on average, we're talking 15,000 dealers, give or take. And again, we're gonna fudge this. It's not exact, but I'm just gonna go with some guesstimates. Average car dealership sells around 100 cars. Some sell less, some more. So we're gonna say that per month.
A month.
So per month on the average, and that's a small shop, maybe a couple lines depending where you are, and so you've got 12 months of that. Normal deals for a car when I was selling was we would take about 3 to 4 credit apps before somebody walked out the door. Meaning, deals fall through. You put the app in. You thought you were going to want it. Maybe you switch to another car. Maybe you go to somebody else gets a dealership. So that's what your average is. You got to maintain and hold those deals for about 7 years, because they come back. There's issues. Oh, you discriminated against me. There's all these other things that could come in. Or did we get the fairnesses? So that comes out on to the average dealership to around 30,000, give or take, applications that they should have on file if they destroyed their applications on the 7th year when they no longer needed them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's happening.
What are the chances?
If they did that, and if the software worked, so let's say that's around 30,000. You multiply that by 15,000, you're coming around 450 million potential records. Yes, there's a lot of duplications. Yes, there's a lot of stuff there. So let's just take 400 million records, give or take, that are there. We're not even talking about the employees that work there. Average dealership has about 100 employees. Incredible turnover in car dealerships. So you're talking, if you got 100 employees, you may be turning over, 5-10% every month. It's not unusual to have that many people, just because the salespeople, most of them didn't make it on the floor, and they were constantly churning those people. So you got that. So it gets larger the longer you start to think about it. And yes, it can be, it's big. So when we say it's a tsunami of data, we haven't seen anything quite like this. This is just starting to get, this news cycle is just starting to come up.
This is great stuff. Let me go to my document I have here. This is important stuff, guys.
Uh-oh.
This is
got a document.
Yeah, this is CDK Global, the state of dealership cybersecurity for 2023. Let's start. Let's.
I usually that's my nighttime reading, but I like to read that report.
It's short. Don't worry. It's not like they were hacked or anything.
No.
Oh, defending against cyber threats is more important than ever. That seems to check out. That's pretty accurate information right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. Key findings. They list 7 things that dealers should be, top threats for 2023. I realize we're in 2024. Things change. Number 1 was email phishing. Seems relevant. 2, lack of employee awareness.
Okay.
3 is ransomware. That might move to number 1 for 2024, but we'll come back to that one. 4 is PC virus or malware. 5 is theft of business data. Oh, well, 5 and 3 kind of go together. Ransomware and theft of business data. 6 is stolen or weak passwords. Probably gonna tie those back together. And 7 was vehicle cyber attacks. I haven't heard too many vehicle cyber attacks. I know Teslas can be stolen and stuff like that, and we get that, but like it's not really caused any issues when people are driving. What I don't see on here is supply chain attacks.
That's true.
So CDK might want to update their report for next year to say supply chain attacks are
It's
actually
around
one of the
next year.
top. Yeah, that's fair. One of the top risks to dealers. So I'll be interested to see when they put out their 2024 report, if they do, if supply chain attacks goes number 1.
You pointed out something really interesting there, Chris. You said when we're talking about ransomware and client data, why are those two linked together?
Well, I mean, if you're a threat actor and you're trying to get money, you hit them with ransomware. Okay, cool. Can you recover from it? That's the first thing they're going to say. Oh, we have backups. Cool. Yeah, but during the ransom part, we already exfiltrated your data. So now we have your data. So let's hit you with a double ransom, double extortion. So do you want the decryption key to get your data back? No? Cool. We still have the data. So now you need to pay again so that we don't leak the data, which doesn't always play out well. Shouldn't trust criminals. But the group that they got hit by, we didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Is allegedly called Black Suit Ransomware Gang. And most people have never heard of Black Suit. They're relatively new. They came on April, May 2023. What happens in a lot of these groups is when they get busted or they have problems inside the groups, they'll disband, but they'll come back together. And there's always giveaways. Their code will look the same as like what another group was. So these guys really look like they were the Royal Ransomware Gang. They were the ones that hit Dallas, I believe, the city of Dallas.
Okay.
Yep.
A couple years ago. But if you go back further, they really look like they were Conti. And Conti was one of the biggest players in ransomware for a long time. And they had some internal flux. Somebody actually posted their entire processes and procedures document.
Well, when the Ukraine and Russia invaded each other,
a
bunch of Ukrainians posted online.
Yeah, they posted like their internal documentation. They have some pretty good processes because they had just like simple people could just go through and run through the scripts and stuff like that and do it, and then they would just pass it off to somebody more advanced if they needed to get more.
They had an employee of the month program and a recruiting bonus for ransomware.
I'll say this: the employee of the month is probably the person who got them access into CDK. Just saying.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's the employee of the year for them.
Maybe. So. This is what they're dealing with. They're dealing with a very sophisticated group of people, highly sophisticated. They have not been added to Black Suit's dark website yet. That is not. So we're not entirely sure. We're going off of what we've
what's
heard.
being reported.
Yeah.
So that's been reported by Bleeping Computer. Bloomberg reported that they're going to pay the ransom. They said today that today Monday that they're kind of. This is the day we're shooting it. They're kind of recovering. We'll see how long that takes. But if we go back to their document, and their document's very important here, they say that the average dealer during a ransomware cyber attack will be down 3.4 weeks. So if they beat 3.4 weeks, at least they beat their dealership impact. Because right now, a $1.2 trillion a year sector is being smashed right now.
So, Chris, hold that thought for a second. If we jump back to your top 10, your top 7 list, I was looking at it.
Not my top 7 list, CDK Global's top 7.
CDK's top 7 list there, and the Black Suit guys typically do compromise people off a phishing email. I saw a report that that's what happened here. We don't know that it hasn't been confirmed, but if you look at their top 7 list, number 1, email phishing.
That is true.
So.
It's going to be supply chain tech next year, though.
Yeah, it's going to be supply.
Yeah.
So
I do.
Yeah. I'm sure there's about 15,000. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut. Do you have anything more, Chris? I didn't mean to cut you off with that.
No, I was going to say from the standpoint of like this whole situation that they're in. I mean, I'm making fun of it because they posted something, which is valid. I mean, dealerships need to worry about this stuff. But when you sell cybersecurity to dealerships, and then you're hit with something like this, and it sounds like, and we don't know. We know they tried to come back on Thursday, and they shut it back down because they got a cyber attack. And some of the rumors that you read online, again, rumors, it really looks like they prioritized bringing the company back online without following through on incident response, like proper incident response. Again, the rumors, and I get that. And this is a sophisticated gang, so you gotta take that into account. But this is what they're selling to their dealers. This is what they're selling to people. They're literally on their website. They're selling this stuff. They're putting reports out there. And then you dive into how their business works with like the always on VPN, and there has to be admin credentials and all of this stuff. And it's like something doesn't add up. And unfortunately, some people's livelihoods are affected by this, and it's really sad. And it's something that they need to take into account. But I don't know. It's, again, U.S. auto industry is like $1.2 trillion a year in sales.
Yeah.
What impact is this going to have on that?
It's going to be huge. So we're talking about 15,000 companies, guys who worked and gals that worked to build these companies up. Yep. And look, CDK wasn't really cybersecurity first. Their real thing, they threw this in as a bolt-on product. What their real processes were, still are, is financing, payroll, order, inventory, things like that. All the other stuff that runs in a dealership. So the question is, you as a dealership, you don't have a lot of places that you're going to go to get this type of business line software out there. And forget if you're a car dealer. What's that?
I was saying we lost you or you lost me. One or two. Sorry.
Oh, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
I got him.
Okay. All right. So whether you're a car dealership or an accounting firm, law office, there's every business that's running a significant business is going to rely on some form of business line application. And the question is, what could they have been doing, and what should you be doing to minimize what happens? So God forbid, your business line application gets compromised. What can you do as the end user to protect your business? What should you be doing? Should you be relying 100% on one resource? It's nice to have everybody likes to say one throat to choke.
Well, I mean, look, we all run businesses. How frustrating it is to have multiple vendors, right? It can be incredibly frustrating when you're trying to solve problems for people and you have to use 10 different solutions to do it. So I get from a dealer standpoint of trying to consolidate down to one vendor. It's just like, to your point, it's incredibly dangerous to do that. You are relying on them to do everything right. And we don't know how, like, let's say you do cybersecurity with CDK. They're probably outsourcing it. It's probably not part of their actual, and maybe I know they're owned by private equity. Maybe it's part of their private equity. Maybe it's some other company in the private equity group. But it's something that when you start reading into this, like, to your point, a lot of these dealers didn't get IT and cybersecurity from them, and a lot of them put controls in place to really minimize the impact of what if CDK was hit. But what about the ones that didn't? And I think that's the scary part. But here we are.
It's actually just kind of sad. It's one reason I haven't had much to say. I mean, the whole scenario with how many people are employed that might not get paid long term. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. It's just sad. There's no other way I have to put it.
And we didn't even talk about Crown Equipment. They make forklifts, and they were hit with cyber attack, and they're saying that basically hourly employees were told to go file for unemployment. This happened in the last couple weeks too. So it really is catastrophic to these companies, to these communities, to these people. And I don't know. I mean, like, we're here because we want people to understand this, and we want to help people avoid this. The unfortunate reality is is as consolidation gets more and more in certain businesses, there's only so much that we can help you do, and there's only so much that you can do yourself. You can have a security program. You can do everything right. But if you're relying on something like this to run your business, there's going to always be a risk that something could happen to them that could take your business down. And kudos to the dealers that could go back to paper like as fast as they could to keep going, to have those processes and those procedures in place to when they had this incident that they could keep their business going. Because how many didn't? That's something we don't know yet.
Well, going back to your point, Chris, I mean, the dealers, if we have businesses, we've run into businesses where they'll run everything inside of Google. They'll run it through a Google workspace, or they'll run it through an Exchange space. And, you're looking at that, and that may not be a business line application, but for that business, it really is, because that's where all their data is held and everything else. And still with that, we're talking about, having redundancies, having another vendor who backs up that software or that data. So at least you can connect and make the phone calls and spin into another computer or something if you had to. Those are, what you're working with is separate. When you're working with an IT team, even if it's from the business line application, they should be asking questions. Okay, what happens when everything goes off? What happens when that most trusted application? What is your plan? And if you don't have that, you really should be talking to somebody like us as far as putting together something like this, because we understand, like you said, too many vendors, it's headache. But if you don't have some plans in case, if you're dependent on these people, these are the programs that are bringing in the money, and you don't have a plan for, God forbid, one of these guys. We've been throwing the word supply chain attacks at, and for those who are not technical, that just means CDK is a supply side attack. This was something that was in the chain. That car dealership, XYZ, could have had the best security in the world, but CDK, which was their supplier, got corrupted, and basically the whole chain of bringing in the money has been affected. So then the question is, how fast can they react and get back up? And some dealerships are up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you use supply, you can talk. It's anything in your supply chain. So how do you conduct business? I mean, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, QuickBooks Online for a lot of people, SAP. What if happens? Like, pick something that you rely to run your business on. It could be supply chain tech. I mean, we're almost to the 3-year anniversary of when Kaseya got hit, and it took down companies from ransomware. It took down IT providers for about a month.
Yep. Because
they took Kaseya offline completely, and that was a supply chain attack on what we do. I'll share a funny story, because this is not funny for me because it's affecting me. But let's talk about an incident. An incident happened to me this morning. I went downstairs and my basement was flooded, and I have a sub pump. Okay, I have a backup sub pump. Right? So my plan was, if my primary sub pump fails, my backup works. Turns out, when the float gets stuck on your backup and your primary fails, your basement floods.
So Chris,
yeah,
could it be what you're getting at is that it's important to test your backups
and your sub pumps?
Well, I mean, the sub pump's electrical. I mean, it's going to fail somewhere, right?
But for
my water one, I do test the flow like every quarter, and I did, and it just got stuck. So our basement had a bunch of water in it this morning. So my point is, I had an incident. I had a plan. I had a backup. Everything failed, and my incident response plan was calling a plumber because I couldn't get the damn pipe off the old sub pump, because I couldn't find a pipe wrench that would fit it. So, and then that's where we're at. And my wife is at home cleaning up the basement while I'm working and making a podcast. So,
but
sure,
now
this is going to end well for me.
But now your sump pump plan is to have an extra wrench that can fit that sump pump. I'm assuming that's.
I'm going further. I'm going to have another. I did have a sub pump. I had a backup sub pump ready to go. Right. I don't know what I did with the pipe wrench. Anyway, I'm going to actually get PVC, everything, put into the new sub pump and have it ready to go, that I could drop that thing in there without even replacing the pump. I'm
Sweet.
going deep on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be epic. And I am not a plumber, so this is gonna be fun, to say the least. But that's my story. I'm gonna start using this as an analogy because it really does illustrate what can happen.
The
Even when
legend
you
of the
plan
sump
for
pump.
things,
Yeah.
stuff happens, right?
Yep.
You can plan for everything. You can have a backup plan. You can have everything you think in line, and then you test your plan when your sub pump fails, and find out that there's still some gaps that you need to address. So I need to address
Do you feel like you're in a better place to have had those sump pumps there than not to have had sump pumps or anything, and you would have had a flooded basement?
My basement is flooded, but it actually in less than 10 hours, my basement probably had about a half inch of water. So that's why I had a backup.
Excuse me.
So, you know,
Okay, well, we better cut this short so you can get back home. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bailing
Yeah,
out.
and you can.
I brought the dog
Yeah.
with me just in case, so that the plumber could come and help us out. So we're good. He's chilling.
Sure.
But have a plan. Test your plan. Your plan will fail at some point. Modify plan. There, we should have summed up with that.
Simple.
Hopefully
like
next week we can
simple.
talk about something other than CDK. By the way,
I don't think
What's-
so.
what's-
It's going to be. We're probably. This is gonna fester. We haven't gotten half the story out.
yeah.
But anyway,
This is gonna be interesting. So if anybody had questions, comments, try to give me plumbing advice. I'm open.
Some of the comments.
Taking up a collection so Chris can have a wrench at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna start a GoFundMe for this because I feel like
For the
that's the
wrench.
way that we should use that. Sarcasm, folks.
okay. Guys, have a great week. And Chris,
Have a good rest of the week.
Matt, Bob, do you have any closing remarks or? Okay.
I
Me
don't.
neither.
I'm just
No,
stuck
I
thinking
don't-
of Chris as a plumber. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. It's too easy.
I'm leaving it be.
Okay.
I'm really trying not to make a Mario joke right now, so let's just let
Mario or Luigi.
I'm just not. Hey, folks, I'm gonna end on this one. We really don't want to see Chris's plumbers crack. So, have a good week, everybody.